I want to talk about my experience at state convention. I really loved convention and I was not expecting to have those feelings. I don't know that I had any expectations really going in other than to prepare myself to spend a whole day voting for candidates. Um, but convention, there wasn't anything grand or spectacular that happened there for me that that makes me feel this way or made me feel this way. It was the spirit that I felt there, and I've been trying to figure out how to put the feeling into words, and it's like, have you ever had to shoulder a cause that is greater than you with other people, and you and those other people are really tired, but you're doing it because it's the right thing to do? That that was convention for me. And that is something that I won't ever forget. Um, Leading up to convention has been quite the journey for me. So, 2 years ago in 2022, after the primary election, I unaffiliated from the Republican Party. I was really disappointed in the way that the party was moving. I felt like they were more concerned about winning elections than about connecting ordinary citizens to principles and to the US Constitution. And so I left. And I didn't want to affiliate with any party. And then earlier this year, I decided to affiliate again because there's just so much happening in the world today and in our country. I felt that I could help to connect that disconnect that I had left over within the party, and just to try and nourish the soil the best that I could. And so I reaffiliated, and then I went to caucus and I was elected as a state delegate. Then, leading up to state convention, I went to meet the candidates, to vet candidates, to their town hall meetings in person and on Zoom. And then I attended one debate, and I went to state convention feeling very prepared. I was ready to cast that ballot um, in representation and in behalf of my precinct. And going to the convention was crazy. I don't know if you've heard anybody talking about convention, but it was crazy. But it was also kind of an exciting kind of crazy. I don't know if there's like crazy exciting. You know what I'm talking about. But one of the uh, one of the moments that I won't ever forget is seeing a husband and a wife there with their baby. Their child was maybe like 6 months old, and this husband and wife, well, I think that they were husband and wife, maybe they weren't, but they and their baby stayed the entire time. So convention went from 7 a.m. until like we adjourned at 11:54 p.m. And they were there the entire time with their baby, and I didn't hear anybody complaining about their baby. Nobody was telling them like, how could you bring your baby to convention? And maybe people thought those things, but I didn't ever hear anybody verbalize that. And I think because, again, just going back to that feeling of we are here for a greater cause than our own convenience, which is why the majority of the people stayed until almost midnight. And that was really uh, powerful to see and to be a witness to that. I'm grateful for the caucus and convention system. I am a different person because of it. And because I'm a different person because of it, I want to invite others to participate in caucus and convention, because it literally is the school and classroom for the ordinary citizen here in Utah. It is a way to learn more about the soil, about the little things, about the proper role of government, about the proper role of the citizen, about the roles and responsibilities of the seats that our elected officials are vying for, to learn more about the U.S. Constitution and the Utah State Constitution, which is a journey that I am going to be going on more. And just such a great way to learn and to exercise muscles that we have that we don't typically exercise. And all in the name of preserving and protecting our liberties and our freedoms. And because of that, I will forever be grateful for the caucus and convention system. It is a blessing to me and my family and to my neighbors and neighborhood and precinct. I'm also grateful for convention because it is the voice and the will of the people. Imagine having state delegates like myself from every single precinct in the state of Utah. And when I've been hearing and read an article calling the state delegates radical and extremist, and I don't think that I'm very radical or extreme except for when I'm really hungry. But and maybe there were people who would fit that description at state convention, but I didn't see them, and I feel confident in saying that the majority of us didn't see them either, because again, we have a cause that is greater than us, that we are there to preserve and to protect. And when Governor Cox came out and people were booing him, they weren't booing him because they hate him. They were booing him because of their disappointment in him, just like I was disappointed in the Republican Party 2 years ago. And I think with Governor Cox, I think that would have been a great opportunity to try and ask questions, instead of why are you booing? What can we do? What can I do to reconnect? I wish that I could have asked him questions for myself, and maybe that's another reason why people were booing, was because I never saw him at any of our Meet the Candidates. He had booths set up, and some of them with his staff representing him, but I don't want to speak to your staff. I want to ask you questions. And I'd love to ask you about your thoughts on policy and legislation, and particularly about principles, and where you see Utah moving forward to people who are not malicious and vicious. We're upset and we're angry, and convention is the place to be angry, because again, we're representing our precincts and neighborhoods, and so if we don't speak up for them, then who will? So and I'd still love to ask those questions and have that conversation with you, Governor Cox, if you're open to that. So but yeah, convention was awesome, and I encourage and invite all ordinary citizens in the state of Utah to participate in your caucus, can participate in your convention, hammer out the proper role of government and the proper role of the citizen, dig into the soil, pull out those principles. Let's connect the genealogy back to liberty and freedom. Let's keep our elected officials in check and in balance. And let's also make sure that we are in check and in balance. Yeah, a lot of good work to do, and also just so grateful for my state. I have never cared for Utah, to be honest, because my family is not from here, but on Saturday I was so grateful to be a part of this state. This really is a great state, and we have a great people.